Time to do an update on Vince McMahon after he got name checked. What was that on AW Double or Nothing when MJF came back from injury or time off or something like that? Whatever. He got name checked on a major professional wrestling program. So, of course, Janel Grant, seizing on the opportunity, decided to get her name back out there. Maybe not her specifically as much as her promotions. Law team never seems to miss an opportunity. But Janel Grant delays the Vince McMahon WWE lawsuit at Justice Department's request. Now, I seen this pop up at the Justice Department. Oh, okay, cool. So now you're gonna take these quote-unquote claims seriously. But I thought you did the exact same thing back in 2022 and ended up coming up with absolutely nothing. But then what? You looked over that lawsuit that is bereft of any facts, is latent with accusations and one-sided conversations, and think that, yeah, you know what? Now would be a great time to reopen an investigation. What exactly are you going to find? Like, this isn't the W that I see a bunch of goofy-ass, bottom-feeding wrestling journalists think that it is. Oh, we're finally going to get Vince McMahon. You know what this screams? Because, okay, let's go ahead and draw parallels to other big lawsuits that are in the news lately. Did you hear this thing about a former president getting convicted of 34 counts of white-collar crimes? Did you hear a thing about that? Well, did you know that Vince McMahon and that same individual have a very tight professional and personal connection? Did you hear anything about that? And who's requesting that Janel Grant stays her civil lawsuit? Oh, same Justice Department that decided to wave its dick around and try to catch a former and future president. Like, that might be a little tinfoil hatty, but you also take a look at what they've done before in order to try to stop Vince McMahon. I mean, it's not like there's been any more credible developments come up. In fact, it's been quite the opposite that I've detailed quite thoroughly. But hey, man, let's catch the newest update, shall we? Janel Grant has agreed to pause her lawsuit against Vince McMahon, WWE, and John Laurinaitis, according to comments from Ann Callis, the attorney representing Grant. Yeah, the mouthpiece that's been out there so far, this bitch. Her client has agreed to a request by the U.S. Attorney's Office to stay her litigation pending a non-public investigation into the matter. Okay, so there's going to be a behind-the-scenes investigation. Ms. Grant has consented to a request by the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York. Oh, great. The most political, the most corrupt, the most litigious district in the United States, SDNY, going against Vince McMahon, WWE, and John Laurinaitis. Okay, pursuant to a pending non-public investigation. Ann Callis, an attorney for Grant, said in an email statement to Bloomberg on Thursday, "We will cooperate with all appropriate next steps because, okay, here's the thing, right? Either this investigation turns up some facts that can ultimately help a civil lawsuit, because this is not going to supersede the civil lawsuit, could just simply lead to criminal charges. And of course, criminal charges that have yet to manifest with many of the other investigations, but don't worry, maybe this time they'll actually find something. But even if the Justice Department doesn't turn up anything with their criminal investigation, then guess what? The burden for proof in a criminal investigation, have to repeat it once again, is beyond a reasonable doubt in order for them to pursue a case. This is just simply a pressure tactic for vocal supporters of one certain political persuasion. Hey, man, I'm just reading the chessboard the way that the pieces are laid out right now, and that's what this screams, okay? So even if the Justice Department doesn't turn up anything, well, that doesn't change the fact that the civil lawsuit still requires a preponderance of the evidence. So looking at something that requires 99% guarantee that somebody committed a crime, as opposed to, and given the fact that this is going to be the feds, they're looking for a slam dunk. But still, with a civil case, yes, preponderance, and then, of course, arbitration. So this does nothing but make Janel Grant's case look a little bit more credible. Until, of course, the investigation is over, turns up absolutely nothing, and then she's back to square one, peddling a bunch of half-truths. In February, the Wall Street Journal and ABC News reported that the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York had launched a criminal investigation into allegations of misconduct and trafficking against McMahon. So they started this in February, and then at the end of May, finally came to the conclusion after nearly 4 months, okay, they're launching an investigation. It's like, can you just put your lawsuit on pause for the time being because we'd like to launch an investigation? What's going on? Just asking. Basically, the Grant lawsuit is pausing at the request of the Justice Department as the government is conducting its own investigation. That's normally what opening an investigation means there, Dave Meltzer. If you think I repeat myself a lot, oh yeah, that guy right there, he's the king of it. McMahon's lawyer, Jessica Rosenberg, a partner of Kazowitz Benison Torres, issued the following statement to wrestling outlets apparently. We remain confident the evidence will prove Ms. Grant's allegations are false, and her complaint is nothing more than fabricated, vindictive narrative from a disgruntled former girlfriend. And as for the evidence that we've seen out there so far, yeah, that's exactly what it seems. Okay, the stay is expected to last 6 months. The source close to the case stated to Bloomberg. So yeah, that's normally how long those Fed investigations end up going. Hence why when people are asking about Diddy, why he's still out there roaming around and going free. Yeah, you'll be seeing something in, late fall, probably early winter at the latest, if not something towards the end of the summer, coming to conclusions in regards to charges there. But like I said before, there were investigations back when Vince stepped down in 2022. Ended up boring nothing. They tried to get something started back in February. It didn't turn up anything. So why would this end up being third time's a charm? Yeah, I don't think so. Mostly because we've seen the evidence. We've heard the accusations. Hell, get goofy ass Ashley Massaro, who didn't want to say anything when she was alive, and then her legal team decided to float this weird idea of something happening in the Middle East without anything coming to fruition as an attempt to bolster a terrible civil lawsuit. Some bag chasers that are out there just trying to get one final cash in. Come on, man. This is what we're dealing with at this point in time, okay? And it gets even more farcical when you see the biggest whore in wrestling history try to attach her name to this. It's come on, man. It's been a 3-ring circus for a long time, and now it's full-on P.T. Barnum craziness. Missy Hyatt. If you're unfamiliar with shoot interviews online, okay, not the ones where, you put the barrel in the back of your mouth and pull the trigger, but old wrestling hag interviews, okay? The person who's been passed around more backstage than a bottle of Vicodin is Missy Hyatt, okay? She's eaten more pins than the Brooklyn Brawler, for Christ's sakes. This old hoe started working in Jim Crockett's NWA and was still dragging around her snail tail all the way through the late 90s, okay? She's been everywhere and done everyone. So for her to come forward with some tearful accusation that Missy Hyatt contacted Janel Grant's lawyer regarding alleged Vince McMahon incident. Come on, man. Nobody's going to take your shit seriously. Missy Hyatt says that she reached out to Janel Grant's legal team. Hyatt took part in an interview with WSI recently and said that she's not surprised about the allegations facing Vince McMahon. She also spoke about an incident regarding McMahon that occurred during her brief employment with the Fed in 1987. Yeah, see, this was so traumatic. She had to hold on to this information for over 35 years. Oh my God. That poor girl, Hyatt said of Grant. Well, I called their lawyer and I told them my situation, what happened with me. When I was doing Missy's Manor, I had to push Vince out of my hotel room because he tried to stick his tongue down my mouth. It was really tough because I also had something else in my mouth at the same time. And after that, the next thing I knew, they wanted me to be a Federette. And I'm like, I don't want to be a Federette. Take jackets. I want to get passed around indie promotions for hundreds of dollars. I didn't trust them, so I left and had to go beg Jim Crockett and Dusty for a job. It wasn't that difficult for her to beg because she was already on her knees. At the time, Hyatt was engaged to hot stuff Eddie Gilbert. Yeah, here's the thing about wrestling, man. As much as I was and still am a professional wrestling fan, it's just really tough in the West right now because both companies are cucked up to their eyeballs. But you take a look throughout history and oh boy, there has been a ton of blue-pilled workers. Okay, hot stuff Eddie Gilbert trying to wife up the town bicycle. Okay, Chris Candido, Tammy Sitch, it's pretty bad, okay? But that's why it's really tough to take any of these broads seriously, okay? She's the poster child. Janel Grant, all of her claims, again, it reads just like what McMahon's legal team was talking about, the narrative of a vindictive former girlfriend, okay? That's all this is, man. And I find it completely and totally hilarious, especially right now with all of this stuff going on in the background. What's the biggest storyline going on Monday Night Raw? Well, it kind of centers around Eddie Guerrero's kid. If you know the joke, then you're awesome. Getting felt up while he has another on-screen girlfriend, seemingly against his will. I find that to be completely and totally disassociated from what's going on right now. Not that I have anything wrong with that. Like, I think that that's, perfectly fine in a vacuum, but the way that the Fed, the way that professional wrestling in the West operates, that should be completely and totally verboten. I don't even need to run the old tradcuck rejoinder. Oh, imagine if that was a man feeling up a wall. What would that be? No. I think that's fine. You want to go ahead and tell a story like that? That's great. It's just, you kicked out your chairman, the guy who made your brand that you're currently broadcasting with, took professional wrestling out of the bingo halls into the bright lights of the world. You went ahead and got rid of him for simple allegations when you're running the similar, if not worse, storyline in the ring right now. I mean, how do you expect us to take any of this stuff seriously? So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.